Hi everybody. I realized when I was editing this video that I didn't mention everything that you're seeing here is something that I purchased. I wasn't sponsored. I received no discounts or gifts or any other thing from Siegmund. They did give me that nice banner, but that was about it. So everything you see, both tables, all the accessories, everything came out of my pocket, so I can give you a fair and honest review. If someday I ever do get sponsored by anybody or they're providing items for review, I'll definitely let you know. I like to be as transparent as possible, but so far everything on this channel has been something that I have paid for or made myself. So enjoy the video, thank you, and have a great day. All right, everybody. Today we're going to go over the assembly of my new Siegmund welding table. So this welding fixture table I just picked up. It's a 5x5. I actually have two of these and some extensions that link them together to make them a 5x12. There's some unique situations that I weld in that oftentimes I need to have center access. I'll go over the setup in another video, but today I wanted to show you how we can put one of these together. So there's a lot of people who are using these in small shops and home shops, and this tabletop alone is 900 pounds. So I put it together using a gantry crane. I'm not sure if you can see it in the shot here or not, but that was pretty quick and easy. So what I want to do is I want to put this other one together using some mechanisms that people may have. We're going to make an assumption here that if you're in this type of industry and you're buying a table of this size, that you probably have some way to move heavy objects. So around here, I've got the gantry crane, I have the forks on the tractor, and I have a few other means, but not everybody has access to those sort of things. So we're going to go ahead and get this table out of the way, and I'm going to set back up with the other one. It is in the crate as it comes from Siegmund. So we're going to go right from crate to assembly to show you how easy it is to do and cover some of the safety factors, because again, it's 900 pounds. You don't want this thing to drop on you when you're going to go set it up. So I'm going to stop the video right here, reset, we'll come back with the crated table and we'll review that one. All right, here we are. We got the other table out of the way, and we've got our crated table here on the floor, and I wanted to go over a couple of the means that we could use to lift this up, to put the legs on. So obviously we have our chain hoist, and this is quite a large one, but they make much smaller versions. We have something along those lines. If you have an overhead attachment point, of course the standard cable come along that many people might own. Now these, while they're pretty common products, aren't necessarily in common ownership by a lot of people. And some of them, this one for example, can be quite costly. So what I wanted to do is use something that many people may have or have access to make it very quick and very safe to assemble this table. One of the things you want to have is you want to have something that has a secure positive stop to it. So the chain falls and the come-alongs both have ratcheting mechanisms that lock them in place. The same thing with my overhead gantry crane. The hoist in there has a locking mechanism to prevent it from free spooling. Okay. When you're using an overhead lift, you have to be sure that the thing you're hanging from can support that load. Generally speaking, we like to have a 2 to 3 times safety factor. This tabletop weighs 900 pounds, okay? So let's call it 1,000, make the math easy. An overhead beam of a 2,000 to 3,000 pound point capacity. That is a lot of weight on a single point on a beam. So even the steel structure in this building, that would probably be excessive because this building wasn't designed for lifting. So even though I have large steel beams overhead, using a single point load could deform, damage, or permanently destroy a portion of my building. So I didn't use that. Of course, I use my gantry crane that has a 1-ton rated load, so I have a 2-time safety factor there. Okay. One of the things you should never do is don't use any form of winch. Okay. Regular winches that you see on vehicles, ATVs, trucks, etc., they do not have a positive stop mechanism. They're designed to continually reel that cable in, and when it stops under any form of load, there's just a drum brake. There's nothing that actually latches that item in place. Like all brakes, they can slip. If they should slip, that would come, unspooling. So there's no winch that is really rated for overhead lifting, because a winch does not lift overhead. That's what a hoist or a gantry crane or other types are for, because they have that positive stop. So if you've got a large winch on your truck and you think that you can just put a pulley on something and use that winch, I highly recommend against it, just out of sheer safety. So please don't use a winch. So I'm going to move these couple out of the way, and we're going to show you what we've got here. So let me go ahead and get these out of the way. Okay. So, something that many people have, the good old-fashioned Harbor Freight engine hoist, right? At full extension, these are rated to lift 1/2 ton or 1,000 pounds. Obviously, this will not be able to get into the center and lift each piece evenly, so we're gonna do this in a 4-corner manner. And we're gonna show you the safest way that I've come up with to do this using something like this. You know, these are pretty cheap to get, especially, you know, Harbor Freight and other places when they have discount codes, coupons. And if you're in this field of work, you probably know someone who has one that you could probably just borrow. You know, they're pretty easy to move and get over here. So I'm gonna go reset. We're gonna get this thing uncrated. I wanna show you how it's crated. And we'll get the engine hoist set up, and we're gonna go over this process here. One of the things I do wanna go over, and this is an accessory that Siegmund sells. And when you buy your table, I highly recommend this. Okay, so what this is a little plate with holes drilled that matches the holes in your table, and it uses the pins that you use on the table itself. These go through the plate, and you can see down below, they'll protrude into the table, and it allows you to secure this to the table for lifting. I think when I bought my table, this was $80 or $90. In the grand scheme of things, this is well worth it. I highly suggest buying one of these. You could try and rig something up. It's a 5/8 hole. You could put some bolts through. You could find an eyelet that, you know, obviously had the 2,000 to 3,000 pound rating for lifting to be sure. But for the 90 bucks, by the time you go through and fabricate your own, just go ahead and get one of these. The other reason is when this is on the pallet, it's very hard to reach the underside of the table. So to get a bolt through there to fasten a nut or a fixture or any other thing, it'd be quite a challenge. So I'm going to use this in the demonstration, and I recommend everybody pick one of these up. Okay. So let me move the engine hoist out of the way. There we go. And this is just secured. They've done a nice job actually packaging this. It's got, you know, nylon strapping instead of steel strapping. And the top of the pallet is a cap, essentially, that goes on the bottom pallet where the table rests. So let me show you. All we gotta do is grab our nylon strap and give it a pop, and that comes right out. We'll pitch that aside and get that in the trash later. Same thing on this one here. Grab it, give it a little pop. Whoops, I missed. That's me. Sorry, folks, I pulled the wrong angle. But it is very simple. You don't need anything special. It's not a steel strap. So we'll get this out of here. And sorry, Siegmund folks, I'm gonna have to obscure your nice banner they gave me. So we just lift this off, and we have access to our table. So let me go ahead and open this up and show you what I'm talking about. There we go. So it's packed quite nicely. There is a preservative on here. It's very sticky. I don't know what it is, but it'll gum up your hands. So, all right, so we've got that done. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and position everything and come back with a different shot so you can see all this set up. You don't need to see me set up the gantry crane, or I'm sorry, the engine hoist, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be right back in just a minute. All right, folks, here we are set up. We've got our engine hoist fully extended to our 1/2 ton mark, so 1,000 pounds. And we're not trying to lift the whole table at once. We're just gonna lift corner by corner. Part of the reason for that is obviously it's on the pallet. I can't get the engine hoist under the table. If I were able to get the engine hoist under the table, I'd be able to lift it from the center, do all 4 legs at once, be a little easier. But I wanted to kind of simulate what somebody might be doing working alone and with only a tool such as this engine hoist. So we're gonna be using the plate that I mentioned that helps us fasten there, and it just attaches via these 4 bolts. So we're going to drop this on the corner and pop in these little attachment bolts here, spin them down. These are pretty slick. Look at these in my review video. The way these work, if you're not familiar, is there's ball bearings in the very end of this, and as you screw the screw in, it pushes the ball bearings out. And those hardened ball bearings pass through the hole and go to the opposite side of the table, effectively making the bolt larger in diameter than the hole in the table, so it basically can't pull out. Okay? We've got 4 of them in here, so nice and secure. I'm just snugging them with a wrench that's supplied in the tools that came with the table, just to ensure that they're in tight. Okay, to tighten the leg bolt on the top of the leg, we're gonna need a 24mm socket. You can use a wrench if you prefer. I like the socket, especially since there's a limited range of motion inside there. I don't know that I'd be able to get a full turn on a wrench. So we've got that. And then we need 13mm wrenches just to attach the feet, okay? So I'm gonna leave the wheels off until the end, and the reason for that is as I jack up each corner, I don't want the table riding around on me. I want whatever's sitting on the ground to be solid and stable, so I know that it's not gonna roll out on me and possibly cause an injury. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this first one. We're probably gonna time lapse this unless I have something interesting to say during the process here, but it is fairly simple. There's holes on the other side of the table that match the holes in the top of the legs. So we take these bolts out, we insert them through the plate in the bottom of the leg, and what we'll do is after we get a table assembled, I'll show you, I'll get a picture of that. So we just take these out, we drop them through the top of the plate into the leg, and that's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and get this thing lifted up and get a leg attached. Oh, one of the other things I'm going to try and do here is obviously I don't want this on the pallet when it's done. So as I lift this, I'm going to try and maneuver it so this leg is over the pallet. So I'm basically going to be pulling this corner up and out. Want to do the other corner up and out. Same sort of thing on the corners to the rear. We'll pull them up and out. That way the table ends up on the floor instead of assembled on the pallet. And then we'd have a whole other problem of trying to get a table off of the pallet onto the floor. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get this up in the air. And make noise dropping our leg. Just move all my little tools here. Tight. Now, as I'm doing this, one of the things you'll note is that I'm picking up this corner, so effectively the only thing that is still on the pallet is the opposite corner. What that's going to allow me to do is when I get to the height I want, is to swing this over and have that leg over pavement like I spoke about. I'll show you that right now. See what we can do. I just very simply have it where now when we raise this leg and put it on, it'll be over the pavement. There we go. Okay, so one thing I neglected to mention when we were talking about safety, things like gantry cranes, come-alongs, overhead chain hoists, etc., all have that mechanical catch. Okay, a hydraulic jack is not safe. Okay, these can have a failure. If that seal fails, this jack will just collapse. So you generally never want to be near the working end of a hydraulic jack when it's suspending a load. So I do have jack stands underneath this table. And you can see right now it's quite solid, and there's slack in the chain, okay? So we've got a double factor here. Should I have a jack stand failure, I have the hydraulic jack to hold the table while my hands are underneath, because I definitely do not want to be underneath 900 pounds of falling steel. So if you're going to go about this method, make sure you have a two-factor safety control here. That, something else, stack wood under there, do whatever you need to do to be able to lift that safely so you can get under and work without injury. Now, unfortunately, I can't really do this without being in your way. So I'm going to go to the other side to see if I can do this from the opposite side where you guys can maybe get a shot of what's going on here. But it's fairly straightforward. Okay, I've got my bolts just stuck in one of the 5/8 holes right here for easy access. I'm going to grab my leg, a bolt and a washer, up underneath through one of the holes in the table. I can see where I'm going. There we go. And I like to have everything uniform, so I want all the bolts for fastening the table height in the same orientation. Just a little something to pay attention to if you also are so picky as I am. Okay, there we go.
One leg fastened. One bolt, sorry. Come to the other side and drop it in the other hole. Get the leg to line up. There we go. Thread it in. There we go, caught those threads. And as you can see, there's plenty of room to get my hand in here. It's not obstructed in any way. There's a bar on the back side, but it was easy to get to. Make sure our wrench is in the correct orientation. And just tighten away. And there we go, one leg fully installed. So what I'm going to do now is move the jack around and do the other 3 legs. We'll time lapse this because there'll be a bit of manipulation. I'm close to my garage door, so I may end up pulling things my way a little bit. We'll just kind of see what works. But again, I'm just going to go through time lapse so you can see it quick, but that's really all there is to putting the leg on there. Well, that position's not going to work. I was hoping to go part way down the table to lift it and spin it some more this way. But the pallet is in the way, and I have limited space in here because we're by the garage door, and my shop is packed full of projects right now. So I'm going to move that, and we're just going to try and get the table to come this way a little bit so I can get to the opposite side a little easier. All right, folks, sorry about the reset, but my camera battery had died. So at the same time the camera battery died, you might have saw I was struggling with the pallet. The engine hoist got jammed up under the pallet and it was just being a pain. So I kind of reset things a little bit. Now that I have 2 legs on, I've also extended the legs and added a wheel to each side. And what that's going to let me do, this is strictly because of my limited space in here. If I were doing this in a larger space, I wouldn't be doing this. But I'm going to lock the wheels once I roll it out, and I'll be able to get to the back side because I'll be able to lift this from the center using the engine hoist, which will let me get to the back side legs, keeping the hoist on this side since my garage door is there. It'd be really easy to just put the hoist outside, but it's really cold out right now, so I don't want to open the garage doors. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So we've got the legs here. What I'm going to do is move the center hoist as far downward as I can and lift, and that'll bring the table out this way, so I'll be able to get to the back side to put the legs on. So we're just going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so there we have it. You can see when the casters are all leveled, it rolls fairly easily. You know, it is a 1,400-pound table. It's about 900 and change for the top. And the adjustable legs with casters, I think, are 350 or 400, 1,400 pounds. So with a engine hoist and a couple jack stands, this was pretty easy to do safely indoors. Now, had I wanted to, I could have done it outside with a lot less work, gone to each corner in order, but it's very cold out, so I wanted to do it in the garage. And this kind of simulates what somebody might be doing in their home shop or a smaller building. We've got a pretty large shop in here. It's packed full of projects right now, hence the small amount of space I needed to do this in. But I hope you got some value from this, and if you're considering one of these tables, go ahead and check out my other videos that are coming up on why I chose the Siegmund table over cast iron and some of the other options that are out there today. I hope you got value from this video. I hope it helped you in some way. And as always, thank you for watching Mountain Laurel Metalworks. Have a great day.